prelude to the question, what's the advantage in 100 words or less, or disadvantage of having a longer period, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months? Obviously, in my case, it didn't affect anything one way or the other. The house was up and closed in and approved. But what about the permits being out there for that length of time? Obviously, there are going to be changes in the building codes and so forth. But is that the main preventive aspect of this, to make sure that when you apply for permits under the conditions that are in place at that time?
Well, the rationale is that, building codes are updated periodically, and that's theoretically to address health and safety issues. And so, yeah.
Theoretically.
And I do think that is the intent. And so I think to extend it out for too long of a period of time, you are undermining that effort. We are recommending 12 months. Again, the city of Fort Bragg, when I talked to them, they agreed with the 12 months. I think there's a purpose and rationale for keeping your permits contemporary. Obviously, you can come back and amend this again if the economy stays where it is, and I'm not predicting that it'll be fine within anything less than a couple of years, I'm sure. But I do think there's, you want to stay contemporary with building code requirements, and that has to do with health and safety. And so the 12-month period is what the recommendation is.
Okay, and if I may just continue for a second here, just playing devil's advocate, and I have no information about this particular case.
Well,
but what if I'm trying to get financing and so on and so forth? Say, and I get a question asked: is that are you sure you can get it within this period? Say, well, I'm going back to the county to get an extension, and the person who you're talking to may or may not make this money available. I'm just hypothetically anticipating something that may or may not apply in this case. In other words, if I had 18 months, I'd be more comfortable rather than saying I'm going back to the county to get the extension. So I'd be very supportive of going to the 18 months in general rather than in this specific case. If we're going in that direction, we're in bad times here, and I'm hearing it all over the place in my district that people are saying we're having one heck of a time getting financing to do the kind of work we need to do. So extraordinary times
Supervisor,
require
that was my motion
those kinds of efforts.
for the county policy.
Yeah.
Not just
And this would apply countywide, not just to the specific project. And there's
Yes.
probably, I don't know, a couple dozen permits at least that are in the same boat.
Right.
well, I'm going to step in there, and I believe that's an effort on our part to acknowledge countywide that we're in this situation countywide, and not just very specifically. So I'll be voting in favor of the 18-month countywide situation to provide for that. Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, there is a motion before us that's been modified and seconded. Call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thanks very much, Frank, for bringing this forward. Thank you.
good luck.
Okay. We are now at item 7C5. This is a continuation of deliberation only on a notice public hearing. Discussion possible tentative action on General Plan Amendment 1-2008 and Ordinance Amendment Amendment OA 3-2008. Owner of McCollum House Limited Liability Corporation, located at 10691 Fowlett Drive, Mendocino. We have closed the public hearing. We are at the deliberation point only of the Board of Supervisors. No public comment will be taken at this time as the public hearing has been closed. So back to the board for deliberation and or action. Hearing and seeing none, any comments from Planning Director, County Council, or CEO?
Comments?
Supervisor Koufax, I'm sorry.
Before we get into comments by those individuals here, I would like to request supervisors make note of a letter dated March 24th, 2000 to Ray Hall, then Director Planning and Building. A letter signed by Robert Merrill, district manager back then. And the issues that are raised in that particular letter, I felt in the most recent discussion we have had up here were not fully addressed. Given that letter and given the concerns that were expressed by some people here at the last discussion time, I'd like some input here from the county council as to where this puts the county. It was assumed, at least I thought it was assumed here, that there was a vote that was about to be made on the Tuesday, that we were going to approve this. So hypothetically, if there were an approved vote of the applicant's request, what are the consequences of this, given the fact there's a letter of 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago, that deals with this, and what kind of position does it put the county in by actually taking this action that on the face of it, I have some serious questions, serious problems about being in a quagmire and getting in even more deeply.
Yes. Well, first of all, I'll start off by stating that I'm very concerned about the process and we need the process that we're about to engage in and the process that we need to be following. While I'm sympathetic to the needs of the business owners, and I do agree from the applicant's presentation that we do need to look at the Arts Center in terms of the rooms there, we first need to engage in the process that we've started with the planning team. And the 2000 letter that was sent by the Coastal Commission to Ray Hall clearly indicates that the Coastal Commission is going to require certain things of the county before we do any application or amendments to the town plan. They're going to require a complete review of the town plan. And additionally, they're going to require an analysis of whether an increase in the number of the VSUs would affect the overall balance of the visitor and serving residential and commercial uses. And they are also indicating in this letter that the review must address how VSUs would be allocated based upon an analysis of supply and demand. We have not done that. So in my opinion, failure to complete the process that we've engaged in or started with the planning team, and you move forward with, you know, a vote that allows the visitors, the applicant to increase the room size, we're going to be in litigation. There's no question in my mind that a lawsuit will be filed, and quite frankly, the Coastal Commission may be even a part of that. So I think it's a very dangerous road we're walking down at this point. We need to allow the planning team sufficient time to finish the plan review, and according to the Coastal Commission, before any applications are going to be granted, they want analysis and it's clearly identified in this 2000 letter, the appropriate analysis, and I strongly believe that we need to do that.
To County Council or to Frank. Frank, why wasn't this letter part of our package?
I don't know if we had a direct copy of it, but I think, you know, the message that we gave you was that we are recommending denial because we think this is premature. This letter
Right.
just documents that.
Okay. Supervisor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Council, I think you've sort of generalized about some issues and concerns that I had during our hearing last week. I have 5 areas of concern. I think 4 of those at least deal with the issue that you're raising, and my